Can't wait to hear them.
Let's see. We're actually live.
Oh, I
That's
can
the
check.
fun part.
Or do you have it up on another screen?
No, because my computer was gonna make was
Dear
making
computer.
noises like it was gonna explode when I did that.
Oh, it says we're live. I'm gonna
Okay,
turn it off
perfect.
before I hear my
I
voice.
gotta say quickly, epic man, that art is just.
It's
I love all
amazing.
your posters and your artwork on. Yeah, that's just wicked. That's
Yeah,
wicked with
yeah.
the Balrog and yeah. I
Balrog,
love
yeah,
it. I love
that's
it. I love it.
that's my favorite. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorites. I have one of like the Bloody Knife from.
Oh, from First Law. Yeah,
I
yeah.
can show you. It's
Liz! Hi!
it's that one.
Oh wow, man, and that's full out berserker mode.
Yeah, full
Full
of
I
out.
love it.
Yeah,
rainforest,
that's
and then
awesome.
I have those ones as well. But
Oh,
like, yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I
hi
have a.
everybody.
Okay, go for it.
Go ahead. Are you good?
I'm good. I'm good.
But no, I was just worried that we were gonna see the camera just go and you not be in the stream anymore. Hey everybody, we are here with PL Stuart and Jen and Epic. I can't point because I'm pointing in the wrong direction because stuff. But we're here to discuss Lord and King.
I didn't grab my Kindle. I'm terrible.
Yeah, it's it's there. Thank you for showing it off. I appreciate that.
Hot take. This is my favorite one so far.
Ditto.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I have to confess something. I did not think I was going to be able to make like finish the book before the
Yeah.
I told her because on Wednesday, even as of Wednesday, I hadn't started.
Mm.
And I was just like, wow, like this live stream is coming, like you told me before about it. And I was all tensed up about it, but I was also dealing with some stuff that required like 100% of my attention.
Right.
Mm.
I tell you, no lie, I started reading this book less than 24 hours ago.
Oh my god.
Holy moly.
Then a testament to how engaging the book is because I just like I was like, okay, I'm gonna read as much as I can, and then I'm going to give like a speech at the beginning, apologizing to the people watching. But it's like an hour, 2 hours ago, I was like, I can actually finish this, and then I was super excited. But it was so engaging, and this is by far like on just like the level of writing, it's just like by far the best. And then story wise, this one is pure story. It's like there isn't any aspect of it that is more extraneous than it should be in terms of characterization or like different aspects of what puts a story together. It's just focused purely on the story, and it was so engaging for me to read. And it's yeah, definitely my favorite as well.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you so much. I'm humbled by that. And coming from you, that means a lot. So thank you.
Hi, Nicole. She's the reason I have a channel.
Hey,
You can thank her.
hey, Nicole.
Hi.
Went to Bookman's with her earlier today. That's our used book.
How's the little guy?
He was great. I shouldn't say I woke him up from a nap, but I picked him up first after his nap, and then he immediately hugged me, and I was like,
Ah!
I'm basically dead right now, but this is great. Kids are easy
I
to.
shouldn't have to say this since this is technically book 3, but this is going to be spoiler because it's book 3 in a 7-book series, correct?
That is correct.
And I'm dropping stuff. That's not good. So this is going to be spoiler filled. Just giving you the heads up.
Yeah, this one,
No.
Yeah.
Whose channel was I on before I started a channel? 2 years before.
I mean,
Yours.
You probably would have started yours a little sooner, so we held you back a little bit.
The first note I have is, sir, the prologue.
No,
What? I think I messaged you. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, I mean that prologue. I think for a lot of people, what they liked about the prologue was, first of all, it was messed up because the events actually took place in a drowned kingdom. That prologue, but now that you got to see, for those of you who are wondering, like what happened to a bit of what happened to Earthel, and you learn a lot more from other people about kind of like what was Earthel up to? Why did he do the things that he do? Why did he, marry this woman from another culture, destabilize this realm, like throw into the chaos, incite rebellion, do all these things, and then at the end of the day, banish Othrin, and then like obviously Atlanta sunk. So what? Hey, books on stereo. What happened to him, and you learn at least the last moments of the kingdom because he was there, right? And you kind of it's kind of a messed up prologue because you see what happens, and then you go on this ride to see can he make it out, right? So I hope you enjoyed that. I think it was.
So I can say very definitively the prologue had a little bit of an extra, like just reveal for me because I made a very bold prediction on that Earthel somehow survived, and while I was kind of right about like okay, there was more to what was going on than like what was what we could divine from Orthun's perspective. It wasn't the direction I was thinking at all, but it was very interesting to actually see how that happened, and it kind of like played into the mystery of Artholo, like when he thought of that was like the last story he had before he died. And I know in the previous book he wanted to talk to Othron about something that Earthel was, so it was interesting. It just built up the mystery, and of course the payoff was good as well.
Thank you very much.
Many more questions per usual. Instead of answers, you get more questions. Are you was that purposeful to put it in his POV so far into the book series, like the prologue?
Yeah, so the one thing about the series up to that point, you'd gotten first person perspective from Yedwall the Old. You'd gotten him, he'd spoken about the battle of a Barefit of essentially of Haref, and it was a messed up situation that he went through there. He did some messed up things, and but that was important to see from his perspective in terms of the colonial aspect, and get a side of to have Othrin almost look in the mirror of this could be your future, this could be like your idolizing your uncle, and it's like okay. So now, and in the second, now I'm giving you Othrin's perspective mostly because I haven't wanted to see a lot of things until now. Now I'm slowly pulling out the curtain. And as the series continued, you'll get more different other first-person POVs sprinkled in, some third-person omnipotent, a different perspective, so that you get a more fulsome picture of what's really going on. Because can you trust Othrin as in terms of what happens? Not even just because he might not be giving you the unvarnished truth, but because he's limited within what he sees. Right? He doesn't see everything. He's only in one place at a time. But there's other characters that have a big role in this series, and you will slowly start seeing more and more. In this book, well, you get a definitive, you get essentially an omnipotent perspective of Earthel, and as he tries to escape the downfall. And predictions. We'll see what happens, right? But it looks like he's dead. It looks like he got drowned, but
looks like.
And then when it comes to this book as well, you also get the perspective of the conniving and devious, and you finally see for sure he wasn't quite a really nice guy, Yedwall already, and we all know what happens to him. And I wanted that poignancy of that moment for you to see that, this is someone who he always was jealous of Othrin. He felt in Othrin's shadow, even though his father was Yedwall the prince. And he was willing to do anything to get back to prominence, even betray everybody in the end. But that didn't work out so well for him, right? Yep. And of course, he was also complicit in a horrific act, which I think we're going to talk about later. That and for those of you, especially Epic, living in Canada, you definitely understand the residential school.
I know where you're going with that, and I was actually going to ask you. I'm actually going to ask you about that, but I'll wait until we get there. However, I've noticed a pattern, and it's something that I like. particularly is that usually when you switch from Othron's POV and into a new POV, it's just like you're just like, showing that perspective of someone who is about to die.
Yeah.
And the serenity of the thoughts, because remember in the last book we went from Yedwall the Old, and then now we went to Arthur, and then Yedwall the Ready now. So like I like that. I like how you try to capture the clarity of thought when you're about to die, and the serenity of it, and how like everything comes into perspective. Like like he might not have been able previously to to express, or he might not have been self-aware to know exactly how he felt about author in the past. He could have justified it with tradition or like what he thought was right. But at that moment, he called himself out that like, well, like I've kind of been tripping, but like still like, can I swear on this show?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
It's like I was kind of tripping, but fuck out authoring still,
Exactly.
and that kind of a clash of emotions, with the clarity of thought and everything, and I like how there was this moment where he said, he was going to be stripped of everything. He was going to be a headless memory or something like that. But at the end, he still had his faith.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that. It's because it's very interesting how people, even some atheists, when all of a sudden they are confronted with death, they all of a sudden discover God because of the fear.
Yes.
And like just like, so I feel like you really captured that well, and I've seen that it's a pattern that you have in your writing, and I like that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We'll see if that pattern holds true.
Yeah, when I see a POV, I'm just like, somebody's dying.
You're a goner. I love you. Oh.
But I have a lot of questions, because I feel like you purposefully shown more on the women of the book than
I think that might be why I like this one so much.
Me
I was
too.
like,
I mean, Othrin is still like, I still occasionally want to throat punch him because he's still
occasionally.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Occasionally.
I also want to hug him and be like, "Can you fall in love with someone that you can actually end up with? Because I feel bad for you at this point."
But you forget, like I wrote this down. You forget how young he is. Like when he's meeting for their little like date with the queen, and he's like, "I'm worried about how I look," and I'm like, "Oh, like 20."
Yeah.
Like you forget that he's like 20, 21. Like he's a baby himself.
Yeah, and then of course in that era of writing in an ancient context, but yet you're still a grown person, and you're running. I mean, there were preteens that ran kingdoms, right?
Yeah.
And so part of, I think, what you see with authoring this book is that this is someone who he took his wife for granted. He loved her in his own way, but he took her for granted. In his culture,
and she was definitely smarter than him, for sure.
Yes, he was, and
there's no question. She's
and you see her value.
Mm-hmm.
You see her value, and the things that she advised him on that were spot on, that he actually listened to somewhat, but he didn't pay attention to some things enough, which is leading to what Epic was talking about earlier, that if he had only paid a bit more attention to certain things with his wife and things she said while he still had her, that things might have turned out a bit differently. But at the same time, what you have here is a man who has devalued women. That's part of his culture. That's part of his place in the society, that Alice is only a queen because she's married to him. Yeah. Otherwise, it's nothing. Yes, he loves her in his own way. He values her for her beauty. He values her for her fidelity and all these things, but he doesn't really do it. But in this book, he learns to appreciate, understand just a bit more about women. And at the end of the book, when he tends to do these wrap-ups at each book of what happened and where he's come from and where he is now, you see that he talks specifically about women, and he realizes, I don't really understand them, and not only do I really understand him, I've underestimated him so much that this is a liability, and I have to change this, or else I'm going to get messed up, right? I'm gonna lose. And he gets outsmarted by women constantly in this book, and they put him on on notice constantly in this book, right? From Rupa, the Sanavian, she runs circles around him, and like from his
Vila?
wife, yep, Viva,
Viva?
right?
Yeah.
Sila, all these women that and let's not even go with Andala. I hope we get to have a special section
Oh, we're
talk
going to talk about it.
about Andala, but
She was awesome. I loved her.
he meets someone who's not just his match, but he's completely overmatched. Right?
Yeah.
He's not even in the same ballpark. He's not playing the same game as Andala, right? So but yet she treats him nominally with kindness, and she kind of understands that. And their relationship, I think, was interesting, and I can't wait to hear what you think about that. But yeah, the women in this book were badass. I mean, you saw what Verduka did at the end of the book, right? And you realize, and this is quickly leading to something else besides the aspect of women. This book was all about subversion of expectations. So I know for a lot of people, they thought, as you saw throughout the first two books, like obviously the Anib, essentially the black people of society, they were like the first settlers. They built all the great ruins come from them. They kind of left, like what happened, okay, what are they really like? And then, but you understand, you hear that they're just badass. And when you hear the Anib are coming, in the way I kind of even teased out on social media and on the book, it sounds like the Anib are coming to basically slaughter everybody, right? Like, but when they show up, Andala comes, holding out olive branches in peace, right? Negotiation, things that she's not. She's a peacemaker. She is someone who thinks about making treaties and alliances. She's someone who sees the long game. But that doesn't mean that she isn't completely badass as a leader, as a general, as a warrior. And we get a little snippet of her sister, who is, essentially her personal bodyguard, that, I think you realize, like, wait a minute, like, all these kings, Arthur included, they don't travel anywhere without tons and tons of people protecting her. Well, what does Andala show up with? Her 7-year-old son and her sister, right? And that's it. And then, you see just how incredible the Anibians are martially when at the end of the book, you saw what Verduka did, right? And
she was just like, I need 2 knives. I'm good. I'm like, I'm in.
That's like a sword. Do something. Grenade.
Didn't need it. Didn't need it. So yeah. But this is very much about women and underestimating them on all.
Yeah. You first see that in the conversation that Aliaz had with Othrin when it came to who took over the priesthood.
Yeah, Friddler,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it was, I think it was 33% in, and like he was like placating her a little bit, which was pissing me off just a little bit. And then like she was like, no, you're gonna listen to me. And then she goes on this whole like 2-page diatribe, and I was like, yes, thank you. Like, you got him to like shut up and get out of his own way for a second.
Yeah, can you imagine if he listened to her more, right? Yeah. Can you imagine if he appreciated her more when she was with him, right? And unfortunately, you realize that now without that center, without this unappreciated wife that was actually his center, he's gone a bit more. Othrin can be a bit impulsive. I'm underplaying, like he can be extremely impulsive, extremely rational. Yeah, but now. A lot of those people with him, now we're starting with Aliaz, that kept him grounded and kept a certain way. Like some people have passed away, Yedwall's passed away, the old Yedwall's passed away. Like some of the people that, especially, but now his wife, the most important person in his life, is gone, right? And that was also his romantic partner, his love. So now he's a bit kind of, I don't want to say unhinged, but he's unmoored from the center of himself, right? And that's gonna have consequences, right? Because you see,
they knew they were gonna marry each other when they were kids. So like he always had that, even when they were kids.
Yeah, exactly. So now that person is removed, and now what do? And when Lacey proposes to him, he is on the verge of saying yes. He's on the verge of saying yes, but he doesn't say yes essentially because of her religion and that she will not convert essentially. And all he says is, listen, you can
have to
fake it.
convert
You can just
outwardly.
do it outwardly. You can just
Yeah.
keep everything because I want you to keep it because I want your mage powers and I want, even though I shouldn't believe in it, I want you as a weapon too, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't do that. I cannot do that. Not only do I not want to do that, I'd be assassinated if I tried to do that, right? That's like
Which was interesting. That was interesting.
Yep. So, but now he's a bit he's untethered from the one woman that was. He doesn't have a bingo, and keeping him like grounded like this. And Arthur, when he's not grounded, is a very unpredictable and potentially dangerous person, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
you actually hit into my next question. It's actually further down in my questions, but we can go there. What is so special about this dude that all these powerful ass women are like on the floor begging him to be with him? I understand he looks like Brad Pitt, but
he does. Yeah.
Come on. Like, I don't understand. He's like 21. What the hell does he have?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's
in there.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to think about it without saying too much. You brought him to the point. He's very handsome. He's well built. He is charismatic. He's described as charismatic. He thinks of himself as charismatic, of course, too. He is a king.
Too much.
He's a king. He's powerful. He's rich, right? He's, I mean, technically, he would be someone to be sought after. But obviously, it's funny how all these really, really powerful women, all these really, really attractive, powerful women who could have anybody, seem to want to mess with him. Right?
And they're willing to give everything up. I'm like, you're more powerful than he is. Don't give shit up.
I want to hear the theory. Go, Epic. Go.
Let's hear Epic.
So, there was something Lacey said after she had gotten rejected, and she was like the six,
the six goddesses.
The six have predicted, the six have predicted that it's like we are not done yet or something like that. So I feel like it could be possibly be like some kind of divine, there's something about him that the divine entities in the book want from him. I suspect it might have something to do with Yedrol's prophecy when he was dying about giving birth to someone that was going to basically fuck shit up and everything. So it's just maybe it's the seed, the potential, and this also falls into, it supports the theory that why the angel is so interested in him and is trying to push him on and help him how he can, is because there's something special about the next generation from him.
Those are really good theories.
So it's kind of divinely influenced, that the women will be attracted to him to, be the person that bears that his child.
That's what makes me wonder if he's of their descent somewhat. Because why else would he have this magnetism power for all these really powerful women, if you look into it, that are more powerful than he is? He's the poorest one coming to the party. He just became king. He doesn't have shit.
Yeah, it's kind of like a scrub. Why do you want to scrub when you can get, you can get established kings like Hurt or or Willie even, or yeah.
And he's just became king, so he's got not much to offer.
He's got a lot of money. He's got riches. He is technically the richest. He brought that Atlantean trade, but most people don't know how much he has. So it's not like it, and that's why you want it, right? So
it's just interesting. And then when his cousin comes to him with what really happened, who the Sanavian, I think it's the Sanavians, right?
Yeah, it's the Sanavians. Yeah.
And then he wants to be like, no, we're not talking about this. I'm like, you're an idiot.
but that's Othrin. Othrin's entrenched in his beliefs. He looks at Sanavians as savages. He's not accepting that what Apol and Euthan are saying, that Euthan, the wisest guy, based on that in terms of his scholarly, Blathan is probably the wisest person Othrin knows, but in terms of the scholarly aptitude and the research and actually knowing what happened, Euthan is the real deal. It's like a professor, and he's telling you, listen, the forefathers of the Atlanteans who really weren't who you think. They're actually the Sanavians. And he's like, nope,
Yeah.
not having it. Shut that down. Erase history. It's not, that's often, right? He if he doesn't like the narrative, he wants to change it. So that's kind of probably something that is not helpful to him, but
Yeah.
that's how he rolls, right?
That's one thing I do like about his cousin, though, is like, even though he is superior because he is a king, he doesn't his cousin doesn't back down from him. Even though they got into that like big argument because of that, he didn't back down. I was like, but he needs that pushback, because I feel like he's gotten so like, I'm the king, I'm the this. He needs someone to push back on him a little bit and like be like, well, you're looking at it the wrong way.
Well, now you can imagine his cousin's gonna be even more pissed off because Othman basically got his lover killed, right?
Yeah. Oh, I was.
So
that one, I was just like, no.
So that's probably not gonna go well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There was just
and
so
of
much.
course,
My brain all over the place.
he denied them the opportunity to be together. They just wanted to be together. And he's like, no, off with your head if you think you're going to do that. No freaking way. It's about my image. I don't care if you guys want to be together. I don't really care so much you guys are gay, whatever. But it's about my image. I can't lose my image because that's going to look bad to me in front of the old guard, in front of the old elites. No way. So screw you guys, right?
So I feel like something about that is that specifically, right? Like in book 1 and book 2, I was kind of rooting for him and Lacey to get together. And then he was able to, choose duty and honor and, all of that stuff instead of that. But then, so when I feel like his cousin came to him, I was like, okay, I felt like he felt entitled for because this is a sacrifice I've made before. So it's like, I expect you to be able to make it. So, but then because
I'm miserable, you have to be.
Yes, it's like you have to feel my pain and everything. And then it's funny how when he fell in love with the Aniba queen, where he was like willing to give up everything, because now when he was in love, he actually felt the love, and it was a possibility, like it was right there in front of him. He was willing to not give up everything, but take everything and then discard his oaths and the consequence, like he was just willing to give up everything. So that kind of is interesting. I feel like he gained the perspective he needed, because Othrin is a character that is constantly he didn't start out a great person, but he's constantly growing. But he didn't have time to act on his new experience. And then he got Apple dead to die, and now he's gonna have to explain it to his cousin, who might think that was intentional. So it looks
that way.
Which is,
if you weren't there, it looks that way.
Yeah, even though it wasn't, and I want to quickly go back first to what Epic was saying, but yeah, even though he fell in love with Undala, at the end of the day, he still did her wrong, because and you remember when after they made love, and he realized, I really want to be with her, but it's still selfish. It's still like, oh,
I want you to give up everything to come live with me.
You got the biggest army. If you marry me, we'll take over the whole world. My religion will still be dominant, even though you have 12 billion people. And, and so that way we can be together. And of course, I'll be like the boss. And even though you're the more powerful queen, I'll be kind of like, and she just dashes cold water in his face and goes, what? What? Are you kidding me? You expect me and my 12 million people. I'm basically the most powerful queen on the planet, and you expect me, because I love you, to give everything up for you so you can rule the world essentially using my people, and my religion takes a back step when I got 12 million people worshiping my gods. So who do you think you are, right? And basically also calling up the fact that essentially part of your issue often is that because I'm a heathen, and of course because I'm black, you think we're savages. You may have learned some, but you still in the back of your mind, we're still lower than you. We're still savages. And you think you're still planning to convert the heathen. You still think you know the right way.
The God
right?
complex.
Yeah, and that savior complex, right, but she sets him straight, right, but she also shows him you almost fell into the trap because I could have just gone along with you, and what we done later on when okay I still have 12 million people, we're ruling the world, but I'm like, yep, we're taking over, all destroy, single god done. You guys are worshiping the Adam now. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You can't fight me. Like so
This
he
is
put him on notice.
this is why I made that video about like bitter sweet endings and everything,
I'm
right?
still working on a rebuttal to that video, by the way.
No, like I welcome it 100%. But like that romance in the end, I like the way it was built up, the intelligent conversation, the growth, and like falling in love. I feel like, and this might just be like the sick part of me, but it was beautiful to experience because like I like where Arthur put all his cards on the table and was like completely vulnerable, and then he heard himself talk, and then he realized that okay, even if yes, like you said, like there was still like something behind his head that was still like racist and everything, like he was just vulnerable, like he was able to see himself from the perspective of someone that he loves, and that gave him like a different kind of perspective into who he was as a character. And like when all was said and done and all was put on the table, as much as they both wanted to be with each other, they were unable to be with each other. Like I found that beautiful, like that
It's
kind of
realistic.
yeah, and that was my point in that my video, right? If
Yeah.
everything happened and then they all kumbaya and fell in love,
Yeah.
they went and conquered the world, maybe even without killing anyone, would have just been like a little bit, not relatable. But that experience of like, just because you want something so much and it's even a possibility, but like the reality of the situation is that it can't work, so you're left with this sense of like longing, but also with a sense of understanding that it won't work. And those play of emotions conflicting within me, like it's beautiful to experience, because it's like this play of emotions is something that could actually happen.
Well, thing is, it's kind of like what Jen said, like, and I want to hear what Jen thinks. Like, you also feel sorry for Othrin because you realize that, as a king and in his position with all the complexities he has, he's got the old elite, he's got his Atlantean roots, his culture, the religion. You saw a lot about the clash between the religion that he's got to face now. He's got to please his elites, but yet the outlish, he's got to please them. And, and Jen said in a review, like, how is this guy ever going to be happy? I hope serving like this guy, like how's he gonna find happiness, right? And yeah, but I do want to hear what Jen thought about the romance between Andala and Othrin and how that developed. And
I loved it so much. I don't know. I'm a sucker for a romance. So as soon as and just the fact that she was like not gonna let him just do whatever he wanted. Like I love that, because so often it happens where they're like, no, this is what should happen. They're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But no, like kind of like what you guys were saying, she has the bigger kingdom. The fact that he wanted her to do all that, I was like, are you dumb? Like, no. But I really loved that they had the opportunity to fall in love, because I feel like they had not like dates, but kind of dates.
yeah, they had dates.
Mini
They had dates. Those were dates.
Mini dates.
So I love that it built, and it wasn't just like immediate. Like there was, I feel like, an immediate pull based
Yes.
off of like when they met.
Attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain.
But then like it became deeper much quicker, and I was like, I love that, because then it's not just, oh, he's young and hot with washboard abs that you
Yeah.
can clean your clothes on,
Yeah. Which he is.
Yeah.
but there was like more to it. So I love that, and I love that she was slightly older and that he kind of was accepting of a lot of everything, because a lot of times, I don't know, just generally from romance, you don't see the age gap, vice versa, where the woman
You usually see the man have a 20-year age gap and the girlfriend's like 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ew.
I like that like he was okay with the kids. My thought was just like, aren't her kids, like, if you get married, don't they have like some pull to the throne? Because I feel like you should maybe work something out, like put that in writing, if it works.
That was-
Yeah. every time like he got close to someone, I was so excited when Lacey came. He's like, I knew you were coming for me, and I was like, yeah.
She
but
didn't
no.
text me that. She's like, she finally made it.
And it's just, yeah, I feel bad for him now at this point. I'm just like, find someone that you can actually be with, because I feel like he's just settling.
Mind you, he's engaged. He's engaged now.
Honestly, I don't think it's that kind of book. I don't think it's a book that's gonna end.
No.
Like I've already like come to terms with that. And you know, when like she was talking about how old she was, and Arthur was surprised, I just felt like that was Pierre's way of just, you know, putting in the philosophy of like black don't crack, you know.
I highlighted that.
I thought that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. You're right about that. And I think when we talk about Ndala, what Arthur had to learn, like, this is a great queen, and don't mess with her. Like, think about it, right? Like, what do as a man, as a father, you know, I taught hopefully my sons when it comes to dating, things like that. Listen, the woman decides what base you go to next.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So unless you let her, a kiss is one thing, and if she is willing to do that and it moves forward, that's fine. But you don't proceed to the next base unless let her. But what does Arthur do? Arthur goes to the, and then boom!
When she just like threw him on the ground, I was like, yes.
I thought, okay, so when that happened, I was like, oh my God, I actually really liked you, and now you're going to be like the villain. And then she explained it. I was like, duh, like, absolutely. He went places you were not prepared to go. Like, you
definitely. It's like hold your horses, brother. Like, you gotta earn it. You gotta date me first. You gotta come correct. You can't just grope me rare. You gotta come correct, and you have to. You have this big. You've been bragging to me about your chivalry and your honor and your knighthood, and you just grab me like that, right? If I said let's go, that's different. And when I'm ready, and I say let's go,
there was a power imbalance there for a couple minutes. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, that's different. When I say yeah, I'm ready, and when she was ready, boom, it happened, right? Mm-hmm. But she wanted to be courted. She wanted to be respected. She wanted to be dated. You guys hit the nail on the head. What did they do? They went on dates. Even just going to tour the hall, going for the horseback ride. They went on dates. She wanted to be courted,
it was
right?
The tourney thing that they went to too, kind of sort of half a
date. Yeah, and the tournament, and she was not going to settle for just being just a quickie, right? She wasn't going to settle for that, right? She wanted him to court her, right? So, and when he realized that, oh, okay, shit, I gotta do this. Then things progressed, right? So,
before Aram goes, there was something he brought up here. He said Catherine de Medici had power from the kingdom, then became a French queen. That's some like historic perspective for me. When I was reading that romance, it gave me more like King Solomon, Queen Sheba vibes, maybe, but like Arthur is to describe or compare Arthur to Solomon is too much, because Arthur is not wise. Yeah. But like just like that perspective of I'm potentially one of the most powerful kings, but the Queen of Sheba, historically, had a very powerful kingdom as well that she was able to that didn't see itself as subservient to like the Israel, and but they had that interaction, and they still have descendants there and everything. But it gave me more of King Solomon, Queen Sheba vibes.
And it's funny that is actually
later in the book made me think of the Tudors.
Yeah, and those are all inspirations. You guys are so astute. Like specifically, Epic. Yeah, that is one of the inspirations for that romance. Frankly, not exactly, obviously, but that is. So kudos to you, man. I will admit, I will. There's a lot of things I won't tell you guys, but I'll admit up front that was one of the inspirations. So good on you for.
Or Cleopatra.
Yep, Mark Anthony. Yep. Another one that was also an inspiration. So it's like an amalgam of a lot of things, but my own obviously thoughts, right? And the thing I want to say about romance in this book too is that you see Othrin. Again, I said he's untethered. So Alias has passed away. It's tragic. She passed away in childbirth. She gives him. I mean, this was foreshadowed. I foreshadowed this. So much. right? That she was gonna die in childbirth, right? But you didn't know whether or not the child was gonna live or not. The child lives. He has his heir now, right? He has his heir. So now immediately, because that's the way these things work, Glathan and the Ready and Youth are like, you gotta get married again. You gotta get married again. You need to protect your realm. It's still insecure. You need more heirs. You need to solidify things, right? And they all decide to. He's surprised. You want me to marry an elvish woman? Like, what? You want me to not marry? And like, first of all, there's no one of age. You'd have to wait too long until they grow up. Atlantean descent. And second of all, it would make sense because it would actually solidify the kingdom more with these alliances, right? And at first, he's like, I don't want to seem too keen because I don't trust the Ready. And if I seem too keen, then and also I do have my concerns, right? But okay, I'm gonna go ahead with this. And then the competition for his hand starts. And he's like, I'm just gonna leave it to Glathan because I trust Glathan. Leave it to my advisor. I'm just gonna
he is the more level-headed out of the two.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go out. I wanna hunt down who's trying to kill me. I'm just gonna go out and have adventures because that's often, right? He wants to go off and do that. But then when Lacey, you'll notice just before he finds out that it was Sila, who he's not even really considering. He knows Sila has a thing for him, but he's not even really,
He thinks every woman has a thing for him.
Yeah, and she does. But I'm just saying, like when Lacey confronts him, and basically she shows up knowing that he's gonna get married, he's gonna pick somebody soon. Like, okay, this is my shot. This may be my last shot, and I'm like, make my play, propose, right? And she gets down on one knee and she proposes, and she's like, she also says some interesting things, like basically, you're not gonna be happy unless you're with me. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do, but you are not gonna be happy unless you're with me. And I want to ask you guys, do you think that's true?
Well,
I think she thinks it is
false. Like, yeah, I think she believes that, but Othrin's relationship with Ndala already proves that to be false. So it was just like maybe yes, on some level, there's Othrin has a thing for dangerous, powerful women.
Yes,
she's not the only dangerous, powerful woman, and she's not the only one that can, challenge him intellectually like Lacey. But so it's more like a trait that he's attracted to, that she has it. She has a space, but she's not the only one that has it.
Yeah.
Because like even I said, the two previous books, I was kind of rooting for Lacey and Othrin to end up together, but like I completely enjoyed and approved of his relationship with Ndala. So which I thought was brilliant, because sometimes when you have that when you start reading a book and then there's this romance that there's this will they not thing going on, and it's dragged on for too long. You just want to like feel the catharsis of it, but then when you introduce a completely new character and you're able to make it feel like, okay, this is the romance that was always supposed to happen, then it's like, wow, like you did, it's just a testament to your writing.
Yeah, I was surprised too, because I was just like, "There's no one that I like more than Lacey."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh no, I like someone else more than Lacey."
But did you like her more as a character, or did you like her more for Othrin? Did you like Ndala better for Othrin than Lacey, or was it the character that you liked better?
I feel like she had more chemistry with Othrin because she was like an antidote to his madness. She was not just because. I feel like Lacey would.
They're toxic, man. You realize that, right? Lacey and Othrin are toxic. Like, they may have this thing. They're hot for each other, but you realize they're toxic.
But
like out quickly when it's that combustible.
Yeah, but Ndala was like an antidote and more like a kind of like a humbling kind of, it's like Othrin, because even Othrin is kind of like wary of Lacey and questioning her motives and everything. But Othrin was, I don't know if there was more, Othrin ever learned much more in such a compressed period of time, just from conversations and,
It was like a month long.
Yes.
He was there for like a month.
Yes, So
Lacey educates Othrin in a different way. She
Right.
challenges it, but Andala actually educated him. She made him see what are some of the things as a ruler you need to do to be hello vivacious Elizabeth that you need to do be a ruler and follow my example. And also I will show you because if you recall when they went the little horse ride, he was shocked that oh my gosh, you have to go through all that to be a queen.
Yeah.
I get it because as the son of the king, like born that way, but you have to go through all these challenges that could kill you just to be, and it's not a guarantee because you're a daughter of a king. Like what? Like he's like what? And he feels guilty. Like oh my gosh, I had it kind of easy in a way, right? Despite all I've been through, and it's like she shows him that there's other powers in the world. There's other ways of doing things, and she's not afraid to call him out and go, like, think about what she does with Ingersa, her son. Arthur's pretty convinced he's got to be a friggin' spy, right? I like him. He's a great kid, but he's got to be a friggin' spy.
I mean, it would make sense because she's not stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's like, and she's like, basically, and he's like, yeah, and she's like, are you, he wants to stay here with you. I've allowed that. So now, like, are you going to show him how to be great? And he's like, yeah, I'll train him to be a great warrior. No, and she's like, no. Are you going to show him to be a great leader, a great lord? Yeah, he's an Anibian. He'll know how to fight naturally. And you can give him the best tutor, which ends up being thorough. But it's like, are you gonna show him how to be a great ruler? Do you have what it takes, kind of thing? She always challenges her. He's like, oh yeah, I will. I'm gonna like. She always puts him on the back foot, and she in his mind. And I just want to quickly finish up the Ingersoll thing. So Othrin always wants to deny the things that are going on, right? Racism. Oh no,
racism.
Yeah, I know it's there, but no. But then Ingersa gets bullied, right? And Ingersa handles his business. But then, like when she's like, you see what I mean? This is the king. How are we going to protect my son from that?
Yeah.
Right? He's a prince, yeah, but how are you going to protect? You're supposed to be the most powerful king. You're the king of your kingdom. How are you going to protect him from the racism, right?
Yeah.
He's like, shit, she puts him on notice, right? And he feels compelled to obey, and in that he grows. Because he acknowledges certain things, right? So, yeah.
I think he acknowledged it once he saw that whole thing happen in front of him. Like, he couldn't keep on denying it with, like, blinders on. Like, it's not happening because I'm not seeing it. It happened right in front of you. So you can't deny that it happens.
Yeah, a big part of this book, too, though, frankly, is about being a king. In Author's defense, you can't see everything. You can't know everything. You have advisors. It's a bit, you cannot be on top of everything. And you see, and part of this is because he ignored advice. Again, first from Alias, but just his own instincts. You see what happened with the school, right? He's like, it's probably they're just these my priests. I trust they're just disciplining these children to make sure they grow the right way and they grow in the single God and blah blah blah. But all the warning signs, and Ali is like, you should look into this. Yeah. And he's like, and then, but it's in his mind. It's still in his mind. And after she dies, he's like, she told me about this, and it's still bothering me, and it hasn't gone away. My gut's telling me I should do something about this. And when he does, look what happens. Yeah. Right.
I mean, you're cheering for him in the second, and then you're just like, oh shit. Like, you're just like, yay, you killed a disgusting human. But then you're just like, oh shit, that's a priest. Like, what do you do?
So I do want to hear what you all have to think about that whole thing, the school, the Reddy's involvement. Well, really, the Reddy kind of didn't know everything was going on, but he was still complicit. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that entire, and obviously a very tragic and horrible thing, but I want to hear.
Before we delve into that, can I ask you a question about that?
Absolutely.
Were you inspired by what happened, like with the residential schools, the stuff that was discovered?
That was going to be one of my questions.
So you may not have seen it, Epic. I know you're in a rush to read, but did you go to the very, very back of the book? There's a final dedication in the back of the book.
No.
At the very, very, very back of the book, the end of the book, there's a final dedication, and I will read it to you because I feel this is important. Final dedication. This book is also dedicated, to the Indigenous people everywhere, and in particular to the Indigenous people of Canada, who have suffered untold injustices, not the least of which was the unmitigated horror of emotional, psychological, sexual, physical abuse, and genocide caused by the residential school system at the hands of and administered by the Canadian government and Christian churches. And of course, then I make my land acknowledgement. I hereby make a heartfelt acknowledgement that as I write this book, I'm on the traditional territory, well, homeland of the Caldwell First Nation people. So, Epic, you have some perspective as a Canadian that perhaps you can add to this.
Yeah, it's when it was discovered, like the bones of all like the children, all of that, like it was big in Canada, and it was so heartbreaking because and I like how you represented it in the book, like based on like how a lot of people were complicit in actually knowing what was going there, even though like the natives were constantly like trying to bring it to light, constantly trying to bring it to light, and me generally how I feel about all of that stuff, because like I'm Nigerian, like Nigeria was also colonized, and there's a lot of like history there that's so dark, like it's not appropriate to be discussed, but it just it touched me somewhere, like, and when it's kids that it's involved, for all the grim that I love, like that breaks me, like my heart was beating throughout that process, because
Yep.
I'm like, no, like I could see it coming. And when it happened the way it happened and everything, and these are the moments where like you understand something about authoring, is that authoring is very much like the undesirable qualities that authoring have been conditioned into him, right? Like his intention is always to do what's honorable and what's good. Now, of
Yes.
course, that's twisted, but because his reaction was spot on.
Realistic.
I love how he handled that, because if that guy had gone through a trial, or I would have felt cheated. I would have felt cheated of like the rage that moment made me feel while I was reading the book.
And thank you for that, Evan. That's so insightful, and that you made such salient points there. And I want to say that I didn't write Othran's what he did to advocate the death penalty, to advocate violence, but we all feel the outrage. Like there's no one that everyone who was really responsible for the residential school system, for example, is dead, right? And from the clergy to the government, etc., right? And we're left with this legacy that, and I might say us, I mean Canadians, but let's start with the people most affected, the Indigenous people of Canada. They're left with this legacy that no matter how much money the Canadian government pays them, no matter how the words about repatriation, I'm not saying that they're vengeful people, because as a matter of fact, they're probably one of the most forgiving people on this earth. But I wanted to give us as readers a moment, Epic, to actually feel like there was some sort of justice.
Yeah.
And I don't like to equate violence with justice, but in that moment, every single reader that read that book said, even ones that hated Othran, they said, when Othran stabbed that priest, I stood up and cheered practically.
Yeah.
I practically
It's a very like
stood up.
fist
I was
moment,
like, yes,
yeah.
he got what he deserved because of what he did, because we are all utterly horrified. When it has to do with kids, like Epic said, it's that next level. But this is that's the legacy in Canada, especially, and other places. You can name your place, and Epic talked about what was done, the horrific things that done in terms of colonialism in Africa, especially. And we can pick you can go back. It's an empire playbook, right? Every empire in the world.
On the rabbit hole, you find out how bad when you're finding out about the stuff. I found out about it that was happening in Canada. You fell down the rabbit hole and realized it happened here too.
Yes, it happened everywhere. It happened
it happened everywhere, and
you're just like, oh my god.
Like, so it's like there are two levels to it. You there's understanding, like, okay, all the atrocities that were being committed, right?
Yeah.
And there's also so there was this slave trader in the US. He kept a diary, so he wrote his thoughts down, and some of his thoughts kind of mirrored how the priest was talking about the situation, justifying it as educating the savages, and it's like when you read about like human beings, and especially children being dehumanized that much, as if like, you know, like, and of course you read about his history, it's all past. This guy's probably died happy on their deathbeds or whatever, you know. But you know, to have experienced that moment, and Othron's reaction was, yes, like I'm like, okay, like yes.
Yeah.
And you realize, of course, that if you remember, you may not recall, but Lacey foreshadowed this in The Last Atlantis. She told them basically when they were in Paw, and there was a big long conversation. I expect you to remember it all, but she just essentially said she wanted this diatribe, and she said, "You know what? It's not enough for you. You're a colonizer. It's not going to be enough for you that you just colonize us. You want to eradicate our history. You want to erase as if you know the six elemental gods of religion didn't exist at all." She said that to him in The Last Atlantis. She said that, and that came to pass, and that was foreshadowed that he was going to see that there's some messed up things about the way you think often. There's some messed up things about you want to subjugate your religion and your culture on us as the indigenous people of this land. It's not going to be pretty, and you're going to regret that. And sure enough, because it's as Epic so aptly pointed, it's at odds with his chivalry. Othron has a core morals that yes, it's twisted and yes, it's messed up. But at his core, he believes he's honorable and he does want to do the right thing. He sometimes doesn't know what it is, but in his mind, he thinks many times. He's not like he's flawed like all of us, but he thinks he wants to try and do the right thing. And let's not forget now though that what he did also could cause big problems for him in the future on so many levels. Not only did he kill a very prominent, essentially bishop, right? Equate a prelate to a high bishop in the church. And thanks to Glathan, he covers it up, right? So that's probably going to cause problems for the old guard, potentially, which is Othron's power base in terms of the Atlanteans. As well, he covered up the murder, torture, and abuse of Eltna's children who were former Lancunian children before Welly gave him that kingdom. You think Welly and heard those guys are going to be happy about when they find out that happened and that Othron covered it up, that he allowed it to happen on his watch? He let all these Eltna's children be horrifically abused and die because of his priest, and then they covered it up.
Yeah.
And, you know,
but I feel like other people covered it up that worked with him because their children were like, they weren't children from their marital union. A lot of those kids were.
Well, then now we throw in the little caveat there that, you know, the bard, the Reddy's son, he has a lot of illegitimate kids, and one of those kids was one of the kids in the school. Yeah. Right? And, you know, that's also what made the bard kind of side with Othron in the end when the Reddy was ready to betray Othron and everybody and ally with Barafet. That's another thing I want to ask you. Ally with Barafet, and basically the Reddy was ready to come back at the head of a conquering army, betray Othron and everybody there in Eastern, all his former Atlanteans, just to gain back power.
Yeah.
But let's also not forget what happened there. Greedy ass Othron can't leave things alone. Says, I'm entitled to that gold.
He's petty.
Othron listened to the story of Yedwall the Old. He basically, in a way, disowned Yedwall because he thinks that Yedwall committed war crimes against the Barefootish. As much as Othron's prejudice and thought the Barefootish are lower because their brown people were rare, Othron, at the end of that tale that Yedwall said, he thinks differently about his uncle, you know, even though he still wants the gold, right? Mm-hmm. And of all the foolish things he does in this book, he is just so driven by greed in his gold. He writes when he finds out from the trader that the last outpost of the Atlantis has been slaughtered, they've been wiped out, the Bearfish are free now. You know, Othron should be like, leave well enough alone, right? We colonized them, we oppressed them, now they're free, Atlantis is gone. I don't have any practical means to enforce this, but still, I'm going to write them and demand that I'm still their overlord, and they write back, we're coming to get you.
Yep.
Oh, thanks for letting us know you're there, because you guys, the oppression that you, as colonizers, will you subject us to? We're not going to forget that. Now we know where you are. Thank you. We're coming to get you.
You made it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're coming to get you.
Well, I have a question around that. Like, do you think with all the issues going on, do you think 7 books is enough?
Are you going to be able to talk, like...
Like
Yeah,
there's still Night Soul, like
yeah, that was my next question.
still like
So cool.
all the kingdoms below, like they haven't conquered. There's still all the kingdoms above that they haven't conquered. Then they have like the Bear Fetish as well. And then I feel like the Anib are going to play like a role later on in the future, maybe as allies, but like how like it's like there are so many threads and so many directions that like things could go. And I feel like none of these things are simple, require simple solution, except it's going to start a harem and just marry everybody, all the princesses, something. But like it's I don't know if 7 books is enough to fully
Mm-mm.
do everything, but
Well, I would ask you to trust the process that most of the things that you're talking about epic, and that's a very astute point. Most of the things are getting wrapped up in the John King saga. However, as I've told you, all three of you before, and I've put out there, so there are going to be two prequel trilogies that you're going to need to really understand what's gone on, and these are set long before Arthur was born. And then there's going to be another final 7 book series to kind of wrap up the whole universe. So anything that's
series.
yes, another 7 book series.
Wow.
After I read the two prequel, after I finish this, finish 7 book John Kingdom Saga, write the two prequel trilogies, and then write a final 7 book series. You will see every possible thread wrapped up. But most of the threads you're talking about, though, epic, a lot of them get wrapped up in 7 book series. So I ask you to have faith, trust the process. After you read the Lion's Pride, you're kind of gonna get kind of some hints about some plot lines that will probably come to a head soon.
Okay.
And then after you read the book 5 and 6, you will definitely see some things wrapped up. And book 7 will, anyways. Yeah, I have plans to wrap up a lot of this stuff.
And I don't know. I still envy you on how much you keep it all straight. I could not.
There are a lot of names. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get better though. I was really proud. I was like, I remember this guy. Oh, I remember this person. And then you killed someone. I was like, I knew that person. Don't get rid of people I know.
Well, yeah, I try my best that every character that I write about, even the most minor ones, you may not realize they come back around and they have a purpose. You may think that was just, and then later on you're like, wait a minute, oh, but he's dead. But wait a minute, oh, his son or his daughter or this or that, or there's a purpose for every single character I write. Even the historical characters that are long dead, they have an impact, right? You keep hearing about the Purple Prince, you keep hearing about Adeline the First, you keep hearing about a lot of these people, right? You keep hearing about Undala's predecessor. The people like these characters have importance, and the more you read the series, the more you realize, ooh, I see where this might be going, right? So I try not to make characters that are redundant, and I try to make. I'll say this comment too. I know Alicia might have some more questions on her list. I want to get to it, but and you all may have more questions. But I want to write a book where when you read back after you finish book 7 and you look back, say you decide to reread it, you'll be like, that person was important. I thought they were just a throwaway. It all makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought they were just a throwaway, right?
Those are the best series for me. Like while you're reading it, you're like, why the hell is this here? And then like whenever you get to the last book, however long the series is, it all just clicks.
Yeah.
Well, I love it.
So. I hope so.
But I feel like even though losing Aliaz was his anchor, I feel like Glathan, if something happens to Glathan, he will lose his shit because he will have no one that actually has his back. He will.
Does he though? That is a theory of mine. There are certain lines.
Tell me your theory. I want to know.
I'm just like,
I want to hear that, Jen. I want to
know.
My cat's sleeping on my phone. I'm gonna try again because there are a couple times he said a line about something, and I'm like, he has too much control over your kingdom. That's probably not a good thing. And maybe I'm just like automatically suspicious of everyone because I read cozy mysteries. But there were a couple times where I was just like, am I supposed to like you? Am I supposed to wonder that are you like bad? So I mean, maybe I'm reading way too much into things. Go away. I need to see the book.
So for me, like while you're trying to find
Yeah.
that, like for me, how I look at that is that I feel like Arthur is the most the most open-minded. He's the person who he knew about the Anib. He had visited them
Oh,
before.
Glathan, yeah,
Glathan,
yeah.
I say Glathan, right? So, and I feel like with Othron's shortcomings in personality and being a king and accepting and making tough decisions and knowing what like traditions to let go of and which new ones to adopt. I feel like Glathan is like if Glathan was to die, I feel like Othron would self sabotage himself down to
Exactly.
like to
He
rock.
doesn't. He won't have an anger. But I do have another theory going off of what Epic said. I have a theory that that's why Blackton picked who he picked for him to marry. There's something. There's something there. There's
Controlling
he
him.
knows something that Othron doesn't know, and there's a reason. Because like
Well,
again, going off of what Jen said, there he has a lot of control, and he knows where the bodies are buried, literally. So like you don't want to piss him off because you're screwed.
sorry, Jen, go ahead. I know maybe you found
Oh no, no.
something.
There were two lines, and I only clipped a very small portion. I'm going off of Goodreads, but at 62% in the book, he said, "I trusted him to do that, just as I trusted him to do everything else." And then my comment was, "I don't trust Clayton anymore. He's suspect numero uno." And then not that far later, I think they were talking about escorting some of the tribes in he goes, of course, she'll need a royal escort from the hosting realm, accompanied by a high lord as oh my gosh, I can't read out loud. I'm so
For
sorry.
protocol.
As
Yeah.
per protocol. But in this case, it must be me, not you. I'll secure passage through the appropriate kingdoms. What? You're
He
gonna
has, yeah.
I mean, maybe you are really trustworthy, but also
Well, this
He
is.
knows you're
So
dirty.
actually, let me say something about
Go
this.
ahead.
Let me say
Go
something
ahead.
about this. So, like, I do not doubt Glayton's intentions, and I don't doubt his value to authoring. But what I'm a bit like, I don't trust when he's making all these decisions was the curse that was placed on him by the previous witch when she said, like, I don't remember, but I'm paraphrasing,
Yeah.
like you're going
Mm,
like everything you do wouldn't matter. You're gonna like
mm.
everything like yeah. So it's like I'm paraphrasing, but basically
Ah,
do a lot, but like it's not going to matter because everything you do is
ah,
going to fail. So
that
that's
is an excellent point.
so
That
when he's covering up, the bodies and like burning the church
yeah.
to hide evidence, and he's making decisions that sound really really sound. I'm just like this could be just like a big big setup.
That's an excellent point. And Jen and Epi, you guys are so smart. Like, think about this, right? So yes, it was Sida, Welly's former wife who cheated on him with Orlu, and they tried to take his king away. So before Sida died, she cursed Nathan and basically said, all of your plans are gonna come to ruin, right? All the things that you think that you're gonna do. And I'm not saying otherwise, I'm just saying Epic bringing it up is excellent in that Glathan outwardly, and I will give this spoiler. Glathan is in his heart a good person. He is a good person. He has Othrin's best interest at heart. He has the kingdom's best interest at heart. As Jen and Epic and Alicia so aptly brought up, he's smart. He's wise. He's traveled. He says, frankly, in that last part, in the end of the second part of Lord King, I used to be like you. I used to be more prejudice, but I traveled. I saw the world. I experienced different cultures. We have to open our hearts to this stuff. We have like Glathan's a good guy. However, realize at the same time, and I will say this, and this is to Jen's point, Glathan's a good guy, but Glathan is also a ruthless political actor when he has to be to protect Othrin. He loves Othrin like a brother, and also he knows he needs to protect Othrin from himself.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and he needs to protect the kingdom from destruction because of Othrin. So what does Glathan do? Now think about some of the things Glathan has done. To Epic's point, though, Glathan was the one that advised, oh, you know what? Yeah, let them have the school. Let the ready be, let the ready, have his titles. Let Canothan have his school. appease them. Da 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 da. Well, that backfired, didn't it?
Yeah.
Right. That didn't turn out so well. Glathan was the man who orchestrated the whole cover up afterwards. He orchestrated the cover up. We'll bury the bodies. We'll kill off anybody who knows anything about it. Remember, Glathan orchestrated killing off any knights that were complicit or they were sent off to do basically hard labor with the church. Right? Like Glathan orchestrated all that, right? And Glathan, when Othran was ready to spare the ready, what did Glathan say? Nope, he was right. And he's like, nope, you got to get rid of him. You got to get rid of him. You can't trust him anymore. He'll destroy your kingdom. He was right. But he traps the ready. So the ready ends up, basically coming out as a complete traitor. So you see all these things that Glathan involved in what he does, and I can understand, Jen, why you have doubts, because maybe it's not so much Glathan's a bad guy, but as Epic said, maybe there's a curse or something that's affecting his advice to turn sour, right? So, yeah.
I also wonder if this is the history brain of me, because we have talked about your love of the Tudor period. For some reason, Glathan reminds me of Thomas More, who was a person that, I guess, led King Henry VIII and gave him ideas and stuff like that. He wasn't a bad guy, like very religious, good man. But like because King Henry VIII didn't want to admit that he fucked up, he ended up cutting off his head because he didn't want to admit that he was in the wrong.
So Richard Neville, the Earl of Warwick, so some people call the Kingmaker. Yep. That is one of the partial inspirations for Glathan. And there's a lot more inspirations that I can't divulge. But just to give you a hint, that is one of the partial inspirations from Glathan, a really, really powerful person who essentially has a lot of control and is given a lot of authority to kind of be autonomous, like Jen aptly pointed out, to kind of do all these things with Othran's blessing, and half the things Othran doesn't worry about it. Just get it done. I don't want to know how it happens or what you have to do it. Well, that can also be dangerous because we just talked about the fact that as a king, you can't know everything. It's not possible because you can't manage everything. You have to trust your advisors to a certain point. And Glathan is Othran's right hand. So Glathan gets to basically, Othran says, make it happen, and Glathan does it. Doesn't mean that it's going to be above board. Doesn't mean it's going to be not something that could come back. But Glathan has the authority to kind of do that. Just make it happen, make it go away, right? Yeah. So that in itself can be dangerous, right?
That's so funny that he's one of the inspirations, because I'm actually reading a biography on him right now.
Yes.
That wasn't on purpose.
I did also want to ask quickly. I know Alicia's got more questions, and
no, you're fine.
This is my last real question I have for all you guys. So, at the end of the book, right, when essentially Othran is someone who he thinks he's the smartest man in the room. He is someone who thinks he can outsmart other smart people. And someone raised an excellent point. I think it was Epic that he's not wise. And Othran isn't wise. He's cunning. He has a feral and he has good instincts, but he's not wise. So essentially, Othran decides to uncover this plot that's brewing against, it's basically assassinate Glathan, right? And what does Othran do? He comes up with this cockamamie scheme that works, right? To basically uncover the plot against Glathan, expose the fact that the Sultans are trying to ally with Andala and cut Othran out of the picture and have him killed eventually, right? And that it's linked to Apithia, and Apithia is basically paid something to do this. He gets to uncover Tarlus's and the plan works, but Apol gets killed. They lose a lot of men, and of course, now Tarlus is his mortal enemy. So that part didn't work out so well. However, he doesn't share this with anybody. He doesn't vet it with Glathan. He doesn't vet it with Andala. He just does it. And he's like, so afterwards he tells Glathan, yeah, that's what we're doing. Glathan's like, what the fuck? You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
I appreciated her reaction, because that would be my reaction. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, Glathan and Andala both like, you cannot do this. He's like, nope, that's what we're doing. And Andala doesn't talk to him after that. She's so pissed, right? She doesn't want to talk to him. obviously he can overrule Glathan, and technically he's the king in charge of the escort, so they can't really say no. But he's right. Now his plan works, but at what cost? Apol dies. That's the biggest thing. Apol dies, and I'm not saying the other things don't have bigger long-term repercussions, but Apol dies, and obviously Youth is not going to be happy with that, right?
Right.
He makes a mortal enemy out of Tarlis. Not that Tarlis wouldn't have been his enemy anyways, but now, right? Like he, and he basically he kind of changes the power, like the power structure in that area is all shifting now, right? And Aegis and Quid now also too are marked because they basically said, "Yep, these people are fucked up. We're gonna fight them." And now they're Othrin's vassals. A lot of stuff happened there. That's kind of like.
Isn't that also where Night Soul comes into the whole thing? Like the.
Well, we didn't even talk about that. So
Yeah.
we didn't even get a chance to talk about the fact that Othrin saw with his own eyes Night Soul's work. The angel comes and says, "Look, there's a kingdom there for the taking. Just go, get your men and go to this kingdom." And I was like, "What?" And he doesn't really explain why. And there's more to talk about the angel, but so then he basically shows up. There's a natural disaster, and Othrin does something actually pretty. He pulls out all the stops to basically conduct a disaster rescue mission, right? To save him. Some of them trying to fight him. He tries not to kill them, and then he finds out that some of them have been kidnapped by some avian, slave traders. And what does he do? Othrin charges off to the rescue, right?
Pretends to be a knight instead of who he actually is.
Yeah, it's like he does all this stuff, but it all looks like it's all good stuff. It's all but yet it doesn't work.
He still wants to be viewed as the knight in shining armor. That's the thing that he can't seem to make sense in his head. He wants to be viewed as the knight in shining armor, but still a powerful king. You can't be both. Yeah,
but now as the epics point on Night Soul, and so now you've seen. Night Soul just destroyed, seemingly destroyed a kingdom. If you don't put it off to just natural disaster just happens. Night Soul, you've seen the power. Othrin's seen the power now with his own eyes, right? And Othrin actually was debating, should I even really take this kingdom? Not just because someone else might want it, but
not just that. Othrin was thinking if he should attack Night Soul right away.
Right.
And Glathan was like, "What are you even talking about, man?"
That's the impulsivity. That's the impulsivity of him.
Bingo, epic, and don't forget everything you heard so far is what happens to the kings that go attack Night Soul? They get wiped out.
Yep.
They get wiped out. Hurt said that from day one. The first story you heard about Night Soul from Hurt. You attack Night Soul, you're gonna get wiped out. You mess with him, you're gonna get wiped out. So, and Othrin's ready to do it because doesn't that seem like that's the whole point? That's the trap. Yeah. That Night Soul's baiting people into. So as soon as you go on the offensive, that's when So, kind of scary, right?
And here's the other question going off of what Epic said: isn't Night Soul's wife related to Lysy and all them?
It's her half sister. So
yeah, there's something going on there.
if you remember correctly, when early Sila's adopted father, when he comes to and they kind of negotiate, Othrin's gonna marry. So Othrin in his head, him and Glathan go through all these scenarios and you see all the family links. You think about it now, right? It's wait a minute, Lysy and Sila. So my intended future wife and this woman that I have this thing with, they're half sisters with Night Soul's wife. It's messed up, right? The whole thing is you're playing this. Okay, well maybe if I do this, it might stop Night Soul from attacking me. If they have a relationship, if it's strong enough, but maybe what if they don't? They could turn them into more of an enemy, and it's just all this complicated. It's like a puzzle piece, and Othrin has to try and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
But it's all guesswork. It's all guessing. It might work out, it might not, right? Yeah. But yeah, it was a messed up situation that Othrin is now seeing with his own eyes. This is what my kingdom could be in for if I take on.
And there's something up with Viwa. Like she knows a lot more shit than she's telling people, and I like her.
Yeah, Viva. I mean, Viva. You got to think about Viva now. Like Viva is essentially the heir. She is essentially royalty. She was royalty in hiding.
Yeah.
But her father was Lycie's spy in Luncheon to make sure that the Luncheon throne succeeded the way Lycie wanted to. So, and she's friends with Scylla, and Scylla was someone who built up a friendship with her because of Lycie's relation.
Right.
Now, yeah, that Arthur's got a lot of stuff he's got to deal with and worry about, eh? So.
But the one thing I do like about her is she played dumb, and people said a lot of shit that they shouldn't have said in front of her because she played dumb. And now she knows all this information because of what her like adoptive father did. So like she knows a lot more than she's letting on. She's
and she's a mage.
She knows more.
She's a mage, and now she's offered herself to Othrin, and Othrin is thinking of taking her up. But also on top of that, she's involved with Eld romantically.
Yeah.
You know, and even maybe more than all that is that she is someone who now she is privy to a lot of Othrin's secrets, right? Yep. Because she's wound herself up with him, and you know, like you just don't know what all that might.
You don't want to piss her off because she knows a lot.
Yeah.
And she can go to someone else and tell all your secrets.
So that should be. Those are a lot of interesting threads that could potentially lead into book number 4 if you guys are on board with proceeding. With
yes, so I wanted to see if the end of September worked for you for a discussion for book 4.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing if you guys are on board. I know, especially for Jen, you and Alyssa to a degree, I'm so honored that you're willing to take the chance to read it because it's not romance. I know romance is your preferred genre, especially Jen.
You put a little bit in, which made it, and it wasn't too much, which was nice.
Yeah, to your point earlier, and this might have been before we went live. Like the romance has a purpose. It's not just there to be there, and I really appreciate that because some romances are nice, but I'm just like, can you actually have a point to this? I need
can there be a purpose
behind it? Like I would like a good story and romance. So, I feel like that kind of started to get sprinkled in here. Maybe it's just because I started to really jive with certain characters. So I am more than happy to continue. I wasn't sure after the last one. I was like, I really want to. I do, but I'm just not sure. But no, I definitely think that end of September, if you're available.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be so honored.
End of September works perfect. Does it work for you, Epic?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
There is a lot more. I'm gonna say it's my wife said sex. in that book, and you know what? Some people have not liked it specifically. Some people have said, "I love the book overall," but that's the part that because of that opposite of you two, especially, it's not for them, right? Yeah. And they could have done without those parts. But I want to hope that when you read it, you realize that these were integral parts of the story. It's not just gratuitous. It's a lot more perhaps graphic than I think the heat factor has been turned up a little bit with each book, but there's a reason for that too.
And I like that his partners that you do choose for him to be with aren't just the vapid court women that you see in a lot of like period drama, so to speak.
Oh yeah, the women that Othrin gets involved with, they're very powerful and they have agendas of their own and they have their own authority. And I also want to quickly say that hopefully in Lord and King, you saw that you're slowly starting to see, I don't know, Epic, if you feel the same way, but, you could read a Drowned Kingdom and think, well, there's not a lot of female characters, not a lot of strong female characters. Lycie's the only exception. This is going to be a very male dominant. It's actually the opposite. The Drowned Kingdom saga is all about the women. Yeah. It's all about the women.
I was going to make a comment about that. I was actually going to make a comment about that. Like the Drowned Kingdom is a book that has complex female characters and female characters that are in there as for ornaments there actually have their own ambitions and personalities and backgrounds and motivations, and it's very interesting like reading a book like that, especially one that is trying to give perspective on, on basically subverted expectations that are not necessarily right. Expectations that are not expected right, like subverting those expectations.
Yes.
It gives you a very grounded, experience, to the female psyche and everything in the book.
Well, I'm honored that you feel the way. Thank you, Epic. Because and as I said, and as often sums up at near the end of the book, he doesn't understand women well, and that's his weakness.
He admitted it. That's a plus. That's a plus.
That's a start. That's a start, my friend. You know that you're going to do well.
Yeah. But he's got to make up for lost time, and he's underestimated and not really grasped certain things. And this series, so much about authoring in over his head. And and Epic, I think it was either Epic or at least Ray's next point is that so much of this, he doesn't have time to do certain things. Everything comes at him. He's fighting for his life. He's trying to establish kingdom. He's trying to deal with his son, his wife down there. He doesn't have time to process a lot of things. And because of his love of daring deeds, he's always in the center of some fight, right?
He wants to be like King Arthur.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah, and that's one of the other inspirations. There's many inspirations for Arthur, a lot of inspirations. But in the medieval context, Arthur is one of those inspirations. He's not an Arthur, but it's definitely an inspiration, right?
Yeah.
But he drank the Kool-Aid of all of the tales that he was told.
Yeah. Like the Purple Prince was the second prince as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Purple Prince was a first prince that died before he could ascend the throne.
So so it was like all those chivalrous acts plus his mentor and his pseudo father he always he initially he never quite saw himself ruling. He saw himself being the role of the guy that goes and conquers and gets all those accolades.
He was gonna be like Edwell. He was gonna be like Edwell.
Yeah, he's gonna be the muscle.
Yeah. So basically, now that he's taken on the response, circumstance has led him to be becoming a king. He's not let go of that fantasy, that idea of being like that heroic character that was action and would put his life at risk for the important task that needed to be done.
Yeah, and sometimes he inserts himself where he shouldn't. And the thing with Othin though is that we talked about people surrounding him. Thurl is left, and Glathan is left, but when you see people like Apol dying and people that otherwise would have been Othin supporters and lords dying, you realize that his inner circle is kind of small. Youthland now may have turned against him, so you realize I think it was either Jen or Elizabeth, that circle is drawing smaller, and the less people he has on his side to advise him properly, to support him, that can be a real problem for him.
Yeah.
So
like before, even Yedwall the Ready, he offered the more conservative, traditional perspective. It wasn't always the favored or the most but he liked to preserve the tradition. What the guards will be interested in, but he doesn't have that thing. He doesn't have that factor balancing him out now.
Exactly.
Now he has Glutton's advice, and Glutton is more about embracing change and people. So it's how are his people going to react to that?
That's an excellent point. And now that Arthur has chosen he's taken the risk because of the Bard, and the Bard actually seemingly having some more comments. But the Bard is now going to essentially be the leader of the old guard, right? He's going to take his father's place in the council, get his father's land. So now, but as much as the Bard, the Yedwalls are all about family. And at the end of the day, Arthur cut off the Bard's father's head, even though the Bard betrayed his father and he did it to save his mother and etc. Often cut off his father's head for treason. So the Bard's loyalties are definitely going to be divided. That's not going to be easy and the Bard now has become essentially the head of the old guard. So that also is
something else. Technically, we are looking technically, the Bard should be on the throne, not Arthur.
Exactly. As far as we can see, technically, the bard,
Yeah.
if Othrin is to believe, if everything is to be believed, and the Othrin is illegitimate, the bard is technically next in line to the throne, and he is the rightful. That Yenwol line is the rightful line that should be ruling.
And that's why I think he was so quick at making the decision he made, because he knows, or he thinks he knows, he's not. He's an imposter in the position of the king. Because
Yeah, and how can you feel completely confident when you know essentially that you're a usurper? How can you feel completely confident when you know that if people believe some of the things that you believe of your own secrets, basically, what would that mean, right? What would that mean for it would be total chaos, right? Total chaos. So, Othrin is a man who you can imagine doesn't probably sleep that well, considering all the stuff that he's got to deal with.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff hanging over his head, like the sword of Damocles. So we'll see. Book 4, I will warn you guys, it's just crazy. It is a lot of things come to head, and it was going to change your views about some of the things that you think you knew about what's happened.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
Get ready for that. And the battle scenes get bigger and more expensive. There's more at stake. You've seen so far some one-on-one duels. You've seen some more skirmishes, and some of it. But now you get to start seeing some of the bigger battles that are coming in this series that are really going to have huge implications. So
stuff's about to hit the fan.
Oh yeah. You're gonna see some of the threads that got pulled on in Lord and King. Often's got a lot of enemies, so
I can't wait. But I wanted to thank you for your time, because I don't want to keep you too late, because it is a Saturday evening. I wanted to.
Saturday? Why does it feel like a Tuesday? I'm sorry. Just throw that out there.
It does feel like a Tuesday. But I wanted to thank everybody for coming, everybody watching during the live, and I wanted to take a look if you guys have stuff coming up on your channels to let us know what's going on in your channels.
Well, for me, my YouTube channel is kind of up and running. It has been for a little while. Actually, June will be the anniversary. I'm publishing reviews mostly, and also doing page chewing with May between the pages. Taylor, my wonderful co-host. We actually just left the live.
I was watching it before I moved over here.
We had two. We had the SPFEO finalists, most of them on in 2 separate sessions from the Self-Published Fantasy blog off. Honored to do that. On page 2, we got a lot of great stuff planned, so stay tuned. We're gonna have some amazing guests. I'm also doing on my channel a new feature called 6 Elemental Interviews. They're interviews of creatives in the community, and I put this on record now because it's a promise. I am hoping eventually in the future that the 3 of you separately will, because they're one-on-one interviews, will agree to have me interview you on my channel down the road.
Absolutely.
So I hope that you'll be willing to do that, so we can chat and learn more about you, and let the community learn more about you.
It's a travesty that you haven't been on my channel already, but
I know.
I'm at fault for that one.
No, we're all busy, man. No. I've been just so busy. You've been so busy. We've all been it's not. We know what will happen, right? There was a friend, author of mine, that 3 years ago we promised we'd do it. I just interviewed her the other day, so these things just take time.
Time too. How is it May already?
Next month is half the year already.
I don't like that because it feels like this.
Pause.
But yeah, that's what's going on my channel. So interviews, reviews, and chats, great chats with creatives. So
yeah.
How about you, Epic?
As usual, I'm working on a project. I'm almost actually 1,000 subscribers. It's about time.
Yay! I'm so shocked that you don't have you haven't blown up because of your.
I'm not worried. I don't fuss about that too much, because
me either.
I know that what I'm doing is different. I don't really have a roadmap of someone who has done it before to copy. So I'm going through the process of developing a style and developing like a system, and it's gonna take time because like I have so much happening in my budget. It's something I will never give up on. I might go on a 6 month break, but I'm coming back. Like it's
Yeah.
always on my mind. So I understand like if I have been more if consistent, I'll probably have a lot more subs now. But like it's not just about like getting there. I want to get there right. I want to get there strong. I want to,
And you want to get there being you.
yes, get there being me. Like recently, like a lot of people are releasing videos of like booktubers giving up and a lot of booktubers leaving. Like
Yeah.
I'm not treating this like a job. I don't want to. Like if I was going to treat it like a job, I probably wouldn't want to do it. But I'm never
Then the fun's gone.
sorry. The fun
The
is
fun's gone if you're treating it like a job. Though, like the enjoyment out of reading is not fun.
pretty much like discussions like this is why I do it. So
Yeah.
I can assure you that like like I'm working on another project and there's going to be a lot more coming on at Epic Tales, and I'm always just happy because even when I take 2-3 months and I come back, everybody pops back up, and there's excitement for like a week or two where it's like everyone is like so excited about it. So I'm grateful for my subscribers, and I'm excited for the future.
Yeah.
And then over on Facebook, we're just doing the familiar.
Yeah. I have it over here somewhere.
Mine's in my front room. It's
back here somewhere.
I pick up my cat, but she's sleeping, and she knew. So here's what I have to display. So I have no book, but I have this cute little kitty.
Wow.
A little pud.
Wow. I want to get a cat.
Get 3.
I want to get a cat. I'm just not sure.
You don't strike me as a cat person though, Epic. I would expect you to have like 18 dogs.
No, I'm a huge cat person. I'm a huge cat person. Like I love the attitude. Like
it's specific people can do the attitude, but you're absolutely accurate. That's just the best.
Yes, they're just the best, and they come to you when they want attention, and then when you give them attention, they're like, nah, too much.
Go away.
I like that.
Because you feel chosen every time they choose you. You're like, like she's been in this room this whole time, and I'm like, you've chosen me.
I'm surprised she's been
everybody else.
Most other like stuff that we do, she's like bouncing around the room. You can hear her.
That's because my watch will catch, like, she did it before the live started, and that's why I've kind of been trying to, like, if you saw me, I'm like trying to hide the watch face so it doesn't reflect, but if she sees it, she's like honed in. She's a little killer. Yeah, Epic, if you get one, you have to get 2. If you get them when they're kittens, they play with each other, which one is a delight to watch to begin with, but also then they kind of like play with each other so they don't wear you down, because sometimes if it's just one, you're responsible for their energy output. Can be a lot. So having 2 of them to just play,
it's perfect.
Yeah.
Got it. I've actually heard that a lot before, so yeah.
Oh, good. I honestly thought I just made that up, but it's something that I fully believe. So I'm glad that other people have that opinion. All right, sorry, I could talk cats all night.
No, you're fine. And then I just have a couple tags coming up and a book haul because I went on vacation and I did a book spree at a used bookstore. But I met Dee through Epic. She's been tagging me in a bunch of tags that I have them all listed. I don't know how many I'll get to, but I'm getting there slowly but surely. But thank you, PL, for letting me interview you and coming on my channel. Thank you to Epic for coming on my channel. Thank you for everybody watching currently. Thank you for everybody watching on the replay. And we will see you in September for book 4. Have a great night.
Take care. Bye now.
Let's see. Is it gonna